I come, Hinata! Yeah!
From here forth, history will be spun again. And so began their journey on a path with no end.
Bandai, we need to talk. Father to son, we need to talk. Welcome back to Retro Rebound, everybody. In today's video, Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. We have to talk about it. Ultimate Ninja Storm is like the creme de la creme, in my opinion, of 3D arena anime fighting games, right? Like, it's a known quantity. You know what you're going to get out of this series, and it's a really good thing. It's not always going to exceed your expectations, but it delivers something high quality in presentation, exceeding what the anime could ever hope to do, and giving Naruto fans a real treat, packed with memorable moments, incredibly smooth gameplay. It's not the deepest fighting game, but it's a ton of fun. It's a visual spectacle, right? And in this era with anime games where I feel like we're walking more of them to their grave than ever before, right? Hey, My Hero Wants Justice, it's gonna be okay, I'm lowering them in the casket. One Punch Man, we're gonna lower you in the casket. JJK, we're lowering in the casket early because Curse Clash does not look good. There's just such a low quality bar for anime games. And it feels like Naruto and DBZ have managed to change what these games can really be with Dragon Ball FighterZ or DBZ Kakarot or Ultimate Ninja Storm. So when one comes around, especially our first one we could ever review on this channel, we did a huge retrospective on the Ultimate Ninja series 1 through 5. Check it out if you missed it, to celebrate. We talk a lot about anime games here. Before this, we talked about Attack on Titan. We love anime games here, but it especially disturbs me in a peak of anime popularity that we are still struggling to get quality games, and that even the ones who have been punching above their weight for years are now starting to get lesser effort. And I get it, this isn't Ultimate Ninja Storm 5, but what I played here in Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections in the terms of a quality bar is way far and below anything that I've seen CyberConnect do. And that really breaks my heart. And the big question I was asking for a $60 game, by the way, is what can it do that what I have here, Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy, what can it do that this can't? What you have here, if you crack it open, is you're gonna see you have the trilogy, and you also have Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, right? So it's all 4 games, 2 discs, you install them all separately, you got everything there modernized. What is Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections doing that Legacy can't do? Especially for the price, right? Granted, I have an Xbox copy here, and it's a Steelbook, it's a lot more expensive physically, but point being is, why would you want to go out and get this? And that was the question everyone was asking is, are they just rehashing it? Didn't we just get that with Legacy? Oh, it's all on one disc, okay. What's happening here? A lot of people wondering if there was gonna be a new story. There is, we'll talk about that, but there's also history mode, which we're gonna really get into, which I think was the main selling point of the game. You see, what Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections serves as is a highlight reel of the Naruto timeline, from OG Naruto up to Shippuden and even into Boruto, just showcasing some of the big moments that have happened throughout this massive story. And make no mistake, there have been a ton of them, but the amount that's skipped over, the lack of meat on the bones, this is an all-time low in my opinion when it comes to the Ultimate Ninja Storm series. Now, like I said, it's a known quantity and quality. That's not to say the gameplay is bad, but as I go through this video, I hope you'll recognize, even if you're a giant Ultimate Ninja Storm fan like myself, I hope you'll recognize the lack of effort that's been put into this game and that you really should save your money. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into nostalgic, retrospective content, anime games, like I said, we talk a lot about them here, or the occasional day one review, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. I want to start off with this history mode. To me, this was the part of the game I was most excited about. As I said, it's a recap of the entire Naruto timeline, and with how much content is there from the entirety of the Ultimate Ninja Storm series, I thought they were just gonna pluck out these major fights throughout all of their games and smack them into episodes, and that's exactly what they did. Each episode will take you about 40 minutes to go through. There's 8 of them, going from Naruto's Genin training arc, into the Chunin exams, into chasing Sasuke, and so on and so forth. 8 episodes definitely isn't enough, I'll be honest with y'all. So what'll happen is you'll hop into a major fight in the show. Let's say Naruto and Sasuke versus Haku, right? Like one of the first big missions that Squad 7 goes out on. Lots of emotion, the nostalgia. I talked about it in the Ultimate Ninja retrospective, like seeing that scene always pulls at the heartstrings, right? You don't get cutscenes in this, by the way, almost ever. What you get instead are screenshots from the anime with awful redubbed voice acting, which I love Naruto's English voice cast, but like they were not on it here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then they'll fill in the gaps with more visual novel anime screenshot recaps. So let's say we're going from Haku fight to the Genin training arc where they're in the Forest of Death. This is a big moment for Sasuke mostly because this is the first time he goes curse mark. He breaks the dude's arms, like just one of my favorite scenes with Sasuke, right? They go over that in like 5 screenshots, a couple lines of text, and then suddenly you're playing as Naruto fighting Kiba. It's like, yo, what? Like this is supposed to be the recap, and it's barely going over anything. It's skimping all of the big details, and even the broad strokes it goes for, they don't get right. Instead of doing cutscenes, which is one thing that the Ultimate Ninja Storm series nailed down beautifully in presentation, detail, especially audio, they've substituted for, as these characters are fighting, these awful redubbed lines are coming in as they're clashing, and it's trying to create something more cinematic when it just doesn't work. We know where Ultimate Ninja Storm thrives, right? You're fighting the big boss monster like Shikaku, and as the QTEs pop up, you're seeing some of the most impressive anime cutscenes of all time with the music, the voice acting, all at a peak. And even those moments, at first I thought I was looking at Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, one of my favorite anime games ever, through rose-tinted goggles. Like, oh man, the memories. I will always remember picking that game up from GameStop right at midnight, coming home. My mom was like, you get 1 match. And I was jumping up and down while playing the game. Like authentic, uncontrollable excitement. So I know I look at this game favorably, probably compared to most. And I was wondering when I was watching this Shikaku fight play out and the cutscenes subsequently playing out, oh, maybe I'm just remembering this game fondly. So I'm sitting here. I was actually playing most of the game on this here, the PlayStation Portal. We'll talk about that over on the Mr. Matty channel. And I put it down, take out my phone. I'm like, let me look up the Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 cutscenes and like see what is different here. Visually, mostly the same. Audio-wise, it's right there that you realize there's a ton of detail lacking here. The music is mute. The audio mixing in this game is terrible. And I know what you're thinking, like, who cares? Who cares? Trust me, it's a huge difference. One thing, voice acting. That's always been nailed in Ultimate Ninja Storm, right? It brings the intensity combined with the animation, and it makes for something that Naruto fans dream of, right? And with this game, there's already a clip going viral on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it that you've probably already seen before.
Did that wake you up? Did that wake you up?
And it's not just a one-off moment, although that's probably one of the worst moments you'll see, but it's all over the game.
I'll have to be tougher on you.
Even in battle, hearing Kakashi yell out his secret technique.
This is the end. Lightning blade. Your ambition will create lots of sacrifices. That isn't something worthy of a ninja.
It sounds very rushed. Their voice direction was just not there. Naruto doing the ultimate 2K barrage sounds very faint, lacking intensity, very phoned in. There's just, you can tell there are parts of the game that have been redubbed, and so it feels like a crummy Sony Vegas Pro edit with jump cuts everywhere. And so the audio and the voice acting, it's just terrible, quite frankly. And I'm someone who really loves the Naruto English voice cast. There are ones like Gaara who are still great, but for the most part, a lot of this game just isn't well acted, which always is pulling you out. There are consistent moments like what you've already seen online that just happen throughout this game. There's also bad audio mixing moments, like I was playing as Tenten because I think she's kind of underrated, and I was trying to do her secret technique where she sends out this huge hulking metal ball, and whenever she did that, the audio spiked, dude. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. That lack of attention to detail combined with what they're doing here in this history mode, which is just the lowest level of effort. Anime screenshots for cutscenes. There are games, I'm looking to my left of my PS2 shelf, there are games here, right, that have done that in like 2005, 2006. Like, we went through that arc. The fact that we barely get cutscenes in this game is crazy to me. The history mode is a complete miss, in my opinion. Not only in opportunity, but in execution. The quality is just not there. And it goes beyond that. There are changes that I imagine people are going to be very displeased with. For example, blood is black now. Like DBZ games went through a similar thing where they just removed the blood. So at first I thought I was misremembering things. I saw Haku had like blood coming down both sides of his mouth, and I was thinking, okay, that's black. Maybe I'm misremembering something. And then I saw like Naruto's when he like headbutts Gaara, and the blood's usually running down his face, and it's these black streaks. I'm thinking, they really censored the blood? Like, really? Why? Why is it censored? I don't get it at all. Naruto's not this gory show. It uses blood in a pretty intelligent way. Like, I feel, at least in the OG Naruto, it kind of raised the stakes. Like, oh man, they're bleeding. Like, you know, there's death in this show. Who's gonna go down? And I always thought that was a big part of it. So to see even in the anime screenshots, which are already the lowest level of cutscenes that you can get, that they're not even having the blood in there, crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. So these missions, you go through them, they end, and this game loves to collect your data. They're always asking for your thoughts on like every moment of the game. So you'll finish the mission, they're like, were you happy? Were you sad? Were you angry? I was checking off angry for all of them. I was like, there's no way y'all are really selling this for 60. And then when you get to the end of the arc, they're like, this has no impact on the game whatsoever, but like, hey, if you were a ninja, would you side with Haku's beliefs of being more loyal, even if you know you're being used as a tool, or Naruto, who's like gonna keep persevering? And I'm like, what is the point of all this series? It feels like this game was sold to us to collect information for the next Naruto game. Like, that's truly what it felt like. Like, oh, they're just getting information on what we liked, what we didn't like, and they're gonna use that data to make, I don't know, like a Naruto Xenoverse style game where you're gonna be able to change these moments. I don't know. I'm just guessing here at this point, but like, I don't know why they're constantly asking you this, especially if it doesn't play a big factor into the game. It just feels like a data collection type of game. It's really weird. So yeah, to me, history mode missed the mark. Now, I will say that maybe you'd be a little more favorable on the game if you jumped into what's called Special Story, which is a original story featuring the Boruto cast. And at first I was like, oh, you know what? Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm connections. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. I did not realize that this is where the budget had gone. You open up with this insane ninja war going on. It's the Cyber Connect 2 style cutscenes that you know and love. Naruto and Sasuke are facing off. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I really like where this is going. Awesome. And then it cuts out and it goes back to Boruto. Now, to be completely transparent, I'm not familiar with Boruto or the cast really at all outside of what I saw in Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. I don't know much about this story or where they're going or where the anime and manga are at now. I'm being completely transparent, not super familiar with it at all. And I think the game is kind of aware there's a lot of people like me because the way that it's done in the story, you'll understand that they don't even lean into the Boruto cast at all in a story based around the Boruto cast. It's crazy. So yes, it is back to the essence with higher production value, although those cutscenes that I really liked at the beginning they're very few and far between. Very few and far between. And so the other way it goes back to the old school Ultimate Ninja way is progression through mission ranks. Now this is designed to pad out the story, otherwise you would be done in literally an hour. But what they do is, remember I talked about in our Ultimate Ninja retrospective how in Ultimate Ninja 1, what you would do is you would go into a mission mode and you'd complete missions and you'd unlock characters and whatnot. So in this game, they kind of go back to that where you're going through what is effectively a video game aptly named Ninja Heroes, which I thought was kind of funny because we showed it in our retrospective, although we didn't play it for the video. Ultimate Ninja Heroes is a PSP game. And so I guess the Boruto world is more advanced in technology, which I thought was a really cool spin. I'll get into that in a little bit. And so this is a really popular video game called Ninja Heroes. And it's this almost very meta take on the Ultimate Ninja series, if you will. Like, it's a commentary on the game itself, where Boruto is pretty much you, and you're playing this game and he's making comments like, oh, I should go rest my eyes. Oh, I should go take a break. Oh, video games. Like, it feels like a commentary about itself. It's a really weird but kind of charming story. Anyway, while you're doing all this and going through the beginning missions of the game, eventually they get to a point where it's like, hey, MMO player, you've got to grind. Okay. So here comes the missions. D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank, S rank, and so on and so forth, right? And they give you more and more challenges, and it's definitely got a charm to it because it does feel like that blast from the past, although you can very much see that that wasn't the design. It was more like, hey, we don't have much here, we kind of need to pad this. And so each mission will give you, just like in history mode, little bonus objectives. This is something you've seen since the original Ultimate Ninja Storm game, like kill this enemy with this secret technique, or use a ninjutsu 3 times, or land a 25 hit combo, easy stuff like that. So this story, again, is based around this video game called Ninja Heroes and how a villain may be utilizing ninja heroes to take over the ninja world. It's definitely weird, but like, I'll admit, it's kind of got its charm to it. My biggest discrepancy with it is how they don't lean into the Boruto cast at all. Like, as someone coming in and wanting to learn more about that, the fact that this game is more about Naruto and his friends in this weird way is, to me, upsetting. So what happens is you hop into the Ninja Heroes game and everyone takes on the moniker and alias of ninjas of the past. So you play as Naruto instead. And so Boruto's like, wow, I look like my dad. And I'm thinking, like, are they trying to save assets and resources here? Is that kind of the idea? Maybe it is. And at first I thought, you know what? This could have some potential here if I get to like run around and experience and explore this new Hidden Leaf Village with technology. Because one of my favorite things with Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 was, okay, cool, like you got this open world, and you heard me wax poetic about how much I loved Ultimate Ninja 3. Like, Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 just was beautiful in that sense. Like, I just got to run around and collect things. Loved it. Easy platinum trophy for me, right? So Boruto cast doesn't really get any shine. You have this new Hidden Leaf Village, can't explore it. You have a padded story with very little cinematics, and it just starts to collapse on itself at this point. You just recognize, like, you accept your fate. Like, I'm sitting here trying to love it. I'm fighting with myself. But again, I go back to the question I asked at really the start of this video. Why would I not tell you to go pick this game up? Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy. Why would I not say to you, go pick this up? What is Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections doing that Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy was unable to do? Why are we selling this game? Special story is also really quick. Couple hours, 3, 4, you're done. So what you're left with here are 2 very skeleton modes that are done in a flash. And then you move on to free battles. So we'll talk a bit about the gameplay. As you'd expect in an Ultimate Ninja Storm game, it is fun to play, but with that lack of audio punch and fine tuning, I will say this game does lack a tremendous amount of impact. And I think only people who have played Ultimate Ninja Storm before will feel that. But for those who really love Ultimate Ninja Storm, I don't know if I could ever dissuade you from picking this up, but you'll feel it right away. So gameplay changes. For me, as someone who's played mostly Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 3, I apologize if I'm saying things that were in Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, which is my least played one, that maybe aren't new here, but I'm going to call them out anyway because maybe people are hopping in and kind of want this more highlight reel package instead. So there are counter guards now, so you can be blocking and then bounce someone away, so there's more defensive options. You can swap in characters during combos, which I personally really liked. It felt like this was something that was long overdue. Again, I don't know if this was in an older Ultimate Ninja Storm game, but I liked that they weren't just support attacks. I remember as a kid when I played Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, for example, I was like, man, I would love to swap with them, and now you can bring them into the combos, get them really stretched out, and really create some cool team comps, which I thought was awesome. On top of that, there are linked finishers. So now if you have certain team compositions, like obviously we'll use Squad 7 as an example with Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, you get to see a really cool finisher that you can see a lot of effort was put into. So that's where the game shines in its style and the animation. Just watching Sasuke and Naruto in their OG outfits work together again with that kind of level of detail, that's what I'm here for. And so the linked finishers are awesome. I will say though that speaking of lack of punch, the finishers in general are quickened here. Like they're really hasty, just over in a flash. A lot less pizzazz and spectacle And again, it's just lacking that impact, lacking that punch on a visual and audio level. There's also leveling up, so as you're playing as these characters consistently across all these modes, whether it be free battle, history mode, special story, you're going to see levels go up for all these characters. And as you level up their proficiency, you can go into customization and you can change certain things. Like you can change the scenes that you see when you do a finisher move on an enemy for your special technique, where they put a screenshot up and there's like a quote coming up. So you can unlock stuff like that. You can put cosmetic goodies on your character and make them look ridiculous. Like I took this version of Sasuke and put a bunch of Haku masks on him. So you can go really crazy in that way. There are a few single player battle modes. Like I messed around with tournament mode. So it's there. It's just a package that at the end of the day lacks value. Like if you were to buy it on a deep sale, $20, I don't think you'd be displeased at all. And that's kind of why I think this game just felt like DLC in some areas. Like I just feel the level of effort here, it just felt it was made in such a time crunch. Like they didn't have much time to polish out things audio or visually. They didn't have time to really give the respect to certain parts of the Naruto storyline, or at least deliver cutscenes that were of a high enough quality to make it okay that you were skipping massive chunks of the game. And given that it's just a fighting gallery, I'm surprised that they didn't just lean into chapters having 1,000,001 fights. Like they have the arenas there. Like for example, I talked about the Forest of Death part where Sasuke gets his curse mark for the first time. Like that is a section where the map exists in the game. Like it is there. It's like they just didn't have time to make a cutscene or something to lead into it. So they're like, all right, screw it, skip it. And I'm not cherry picking. Like there's just stuff like that all over the game. So Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, as much as I want to love it, and it is fun in its own weird way because it is an Ultimate Ninja Storm game with over like 130 characters, I just can't sit here and act like if you looked at me in the face and said, Maddie, I want to pick up an Ultimate Ninja Storm game, what do? I'm not going to tell you to get this one. I'm going to tell you to at least get Storm Legacy if you want to get all 4 of them. Otherwise, pick up the trilogy. It's a little bit cheaper. And if you're really unsure, just pick up the first Ultimate Ninja Storm and see how that goes. But otherwise, I just feel like this doesn't have a defining mode. It just feels like everything is surface level. So it pains me to say, but this is a game I think you can pass on for a long while until it's on a really deep, steep sale. And that Naruto fans, you deserve better. So hopefully we get something better in the next Naruto game. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down below. Fire away. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.